Students, welcome to the first session of chapter 5 Friction of class 8th of subject Science. Students, you already know that an external force is required to change the speed or size, shape or position of an object. In the last chapter, force and pressure. And in the last chapter, you also studied about the frictional force. In this chapter, we are going to study specially about the force of friction. Students, you know that whenever we roll a ball along the ground, the ball does not continue to keep on moving for long. It slows down and finally comes to rest. Like that, whenever we ride a bicycle after attaining a good speed, when we stop pedaling, the bicycle would be seen to gradually slow down and stop after covering a certain distance. Now, in the both the cases, the moving object stop after some time. Why it is so? It is because of a special type of force, that is force of friction, which opposes the movement of a moving object. So friction is the resistance to motion created by two objects moving against each other. Friction, it also creates heat. Whenever you rub your hands together, then you feel heat. Why it is so? It is because of friction between two hands that comes into play when you rub your palms. What is the direction of friction of force? The force of friction, it acts along a tangential direction, and it is always come into play in opposite direction of the applied force. Look at the picture. A person is pushing a heavy object in opposite direction, and force of friction, it is also coming from opposite direction, means it opposes the movement of any object. So whenever an object moves or tend to move over the surface of another object, there is a force acting between the two surfaces, that is force of friction, and it is always directed along the surfaces in contact in tangential direction. Now, relation between friction and nature of surfaces in contact. It means there is a relation, or friction depend on the nature of surface. It may be, the nature of surface means it may be smooth or rough surface. For this, an activity is given in your book, and in this activity what we have to do, we have to take 4 matchboxes, sandpaper, plastic sheet and aluminium foil, handmade paper, wooden tray, plastic tray, metal tray and sheet of wax paper. Now we cover the matchbox with sandpaper and plastic paper and aluminium foil and handmade paper. So we have to cover 4 matchboxes with different materials, and then we will put all these covered matchboxes along a line at one end of wooden tray. Then when we lift the wooden tray in upper direction or tilt it, then the matchbox will move down. Then what will you observe? You will observe that the matchbox, which is covered with aluminium foil, that covers more distance. And when we replace wooden tray with plastic tray, metallic tray, then what will happen? Again the speed of these matchboxes that are moving in downward direction will be different. Why it will be different? It will be because of the roughness and smoothness of the trays and also the material by which matchboxes are covered. The matchboxes which are covered with smooth surface paper or foil, they will cover more distance because of less friction between two surfaces, that is matchbox and the trays on which they are kept. So this shows that friction, it depends on the nature of surface, that is either it is rough or smooth. Now next topic is cause of friction. Friction is, now you know that it is caused when the two objects are in direct contact with each other and they move against each other. And you also know that it depends on the nature of two surfaces in contact. The more is the roughness of the two surfaces that are in contact, more will be the force of friction between them. So this is roughness of the surfaces in contact. And what do you mean by roughness of contact? It means the surfaces, they have roughness because of few irregularities on their surface. And these irregularities, they are called interlocking. And what happens when two surfaces, they are put in contact, the irregularities, ups and downs of one surface get interlocked with the irregularities of other surface. This may be regarded as somewhat similar to the interlocking of teeth of two saws. We have to apply a force to unlock this interlocking of two surfaces in contact, thereby to enable them to move with respect to each other. So it is the interlocking of irregularities that may be the cause of built-in opposition of any relative motion between the two surfaces in contact, that is friction. So friction, it depends on the roughness of two surfaces in contact, and roughness is because of irregularities on the surface of two objects in contact. When their irregularities which cause roughness, they interlock with each other, that opposes the movement of object which are in contact with each other. Now you have to answer the following questions and you have to write answers of these questions in your rough notebook. Question number 1, define friction. Question number 2, state the likely cause of friction. Question number 3, a bar is allowed to roll down on inclined wooden plane from a given height. At the foot of the inclined plane, it moves on a horizontal surface, differently covered one by one as shown in the following figures. These are the different objects are newspaper, woolen cloth and plain glass sheet. Then in which case is ball likely to move the longest distance? You have to give reason for your answer also. That's all for today. Thank you and have a nice day.